What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. 1 week in the books of the NFL season. Crazy. Let's get into my week 2 power rankings here. A lot of crazy stuff happened. Let's start out here with the number 32 team, staying at the same spot from last week. We have the Arizona Cardinals. And just not a whole lot to say. This Cardinals team, they were scrappy this week. They were scrappy, but it's still the worst defense in the NFL, in my opinion. And it's still the worst offense in the league, in my opinion. So I do still think this Cardinals team's the worst. Almost beat the Commanders, but it wasn't enough. And Arizona falls to 32. I did like the coaching, what we saw, though. 31 going to be dropping down a spot. We have the Houston Texans. Still a lot of holes on this team here for Houston, man. Yeah, I mean, they just did not play well. I expected this kind of a game from the Ravens. CJ Stroud still has some work to do. This offense, they tried to get the running game going with Dameon Pierce, but it just wasn't there. And the Texans, yeah, they just still have a lot of work to do. This is still a bottom team in the league, and I think they're going to regret trading away that first-round pick. They should have traded away that Browns first-round pick that they had instead of their own to the Cardinals. That's just not smart. Moving on to number 30, though, we have the Washington Commanders. We're going to drop down 2 spots. Honestly, I'm underwhelmed by Washington in week 1. Sam Howell, he played decent, but that's not saying much because he was going up against a very bad Cardinals defense. I really was kind of underwhelmed with this Commanders defense. I was expecting them to really dominate Arizona's offense in this game, and I think I'm underwhelmed. I'm going to be straight up with Commanders fans. So that's literally the word I would describe the Commanders in week 1 as underwhelmed. What's going to happen next week when they're going to have to go up against a Broncos team that I think is a very good team? So I think that the Commanders are going to fall here 2 spots and are going to drop down to 30. 29, though, a very underwhelming week here. We have the Chicago Bears. The hype train was just way too much for the Bears. Justin Fields made horrible decisions. He needs to learn how to throw. I'm just going to be straight up. Justin Fields needs to learn how to throw. He cannot rely on his legs all the way. He's just not a good quarterback. I'm just going to be straight up. He's not a good quarterback right now. He's a running back playing the quarterback position. And that's just not a success. The Bears' offensive line got worked by that Packers pass rush in that game. And then the defense, man, this is one of the worst defenses in the league. Arguably, besides the Cardinals, might be the worst defense in the entire league. This pass rush was horrible. The secondary got torched by players that the Packers receivers with Christian Watson even out. So that's just embarrassing. The Bears are a bad football team right now. They need to figure some things out. And it's time to put things on Justin Fields, not the offensive coordinators, not the coaching. Justin Fields is the problem, I think, for this offense right now. And he needs to figure out how to throw because if the Bears want to be a successful team, they got to have good quarterback play. And Justin Fields just was not it. All right, 28 here. Interesting. We're going to have the Indianapolis Colts going to be dropping down a spot this week. And the Colts, I liked what I saw from Anthony Richardson. Their offense played pretty well. I think it was a good first game for Richardson, who had a lot of questions coming in. You look at this defense for the Colts, it really did not play well. I'm just going to be straight up. Their defense just was not the best defense. It needed to be better, but the offense, I'm happy for what I saw from the Colts offense and Anthony Richardson, and I think that's really the takeaway. It's a tough Jaguars team that they were playing, so I don't blame them for taking a tough loss. They played the Jaguars pretty decent in that game, and now they got to go right back to play the Texans. So we're going to have a battle of these 2 bad tiers teams. All right, and then the final team rounding out this bad tier may surprise some people. I'm going to have the Rams. I'm going to have the Rams jumping up 4 spots here. Yeah, I had the Rams pretty darn low at 31, and I'm going to just stand by it. I still think this Rams depth is the worst arguably besides the Cardinals, the worst in the league. If they get some injuries, the Rams are kind of toast. But I I undervalued Matthew Stafford, that's for sure. I'll put my hand up. I undervalued the coaching by Sean McVay, and I undervalued Aaron Donald. Those three factors, Cooper Kupp even out, and they still were able to beat the Seahawks. It just dominated them in the second half. Historically, the Rams have played the Seattle Seahawks well, so I could see it happening there. But yeah, I'm going to give it another week. This team's still very young. Besides those three factors that I pointed out, I still am concerned by the rest of this roster. This team was getting beat in that first half. It was just a very bad Seahawks team in that second half. And the Rams took advantage. And these receivers, Puka Nacua, I'm a BYU fan, man. What a performance from him. What's his face? I forgot his name, but the other receiver that had a great game, not Van Jefferson, the other young one, Tutu Atwell, that's his name. Yeah, Tutu Atwell had a good game. But yeah, the Rams are going to come in here at 27. Still a little bit worried about that team. Moving on here, let's go into the decent tier. Starting out with the number 26 team, we're going to have the Buccaneers jumping up 3 spots here. There they are. Good performance from Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield starts out his debut with a good performance. This defense shows they're a good team, and that's a big win against the Vikings. The Vikings offense did have some pretty bad things that helped the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers took advantage. You got to give credit to Baker Mayfield. The O-line still has some concerns, but the receivers were good, and that's going to give the Buccaneers a win. So I'm happy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They proved that they deserve to at least be in this decent tier with a win. Moving on here, we have the 25th team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Only going to jump up 1 spot here, and it's interesting here with the Raiders because, I think that this probably should be marked as a loss here. Not to take away from the win for Las Vegas, but the Broncos missing a field goal that should have been made. They missed an extra point. It's a tie game if the extra point is in. It's a winning game for the Broncos if that field goal is made. Now, obviously, these things happen in the NFL, so it's a win for the Raiders. Don't get me wrong, but and they were able to run the football well and control the game. So it was a good win from Las Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo played well in his first game, so you got to give Las Vegas credit where credit's due. Devontae Adams, really good performance. And then the other Raiders receiver, I forgot his name again, but what a performance from him. He really played well. Jacoby Myers, man, wow, really good performance from Myers. But yeah, and then you look at this defense, what I said about the Raiders, I think that they overperformed my expectations, but still a little bit worried about that unit. The Broncos were struggling in this a little bit in this game, and the offense really did a good job holding on to the football. So it was a weird game there, but the Raiders did get the win, and they're going to jump up a spot. All right, moving on, we have the 24th team, the Carolina Panthers, dropping down 2 spots. I'm a little bit concerned about how the Panthers looked this game. I'm not entirely concerned about Bryce Young. I think that those 2 interceptions were habits from the SEC where he's used to having those safeties way back in coverage, and he just throws it 2 times to Jesse Bates. He's got to learn that in the NFL, it's a different animal in the NFL, and he's got to learn to read the defenses better. But I still think he did a lot of good things well. I really just think that the coaching side of the football from the offensive side was just not great for the Carolina Panthers. It needed to be better. But, you're going to have some hiccups with a first-year coach. So I could see it getting better. I'm not going to be overreactive for the Panthers too much because I really liked what I saw from this defense. They played well when they were out here. They were on the field for a long time in this game. Tough to beat a team when the offense is struggling like that. But I kind of expected a hiccups from the first week, so I'm going to give the Raiders the benefit of the doubt there. All right, and then we're going to move on here to the 23rd team. We're going to have the the Tennessee Titans here. And the Titans are going to be dropping down here 4 spots. Yeah, I mean, just embarrassing performance from Ryan Tannehill. I'm going to be honest, I was kind of expecting Ryan Tannehill to come into this game, be the normal Ryan Tannehill we see, good game manager type, but he did not do that. He threw a lot of interceptions, a lot of bad ones, and that's going to really hurt the Titans. I still trust this coaching for the Titans and this defense. They played well, but you can't really win scoring only field goals the entire game. So that's really what hold the Titans back. So they deserve to come down. It's really Ryan Tannehill. Very frustrating. And it was a tough game on the road. I picked the Titans to win this one, but it's going to be a tough loss. All right, and then 22. Here's we're gonna have the New England Patriots. You look at New England, Mac Jones. I'm actually kind of happy with what I saw from New England. I just think that some other teams deserve to come a little bit up here. So yeah, I'm kind of happy what I saw from Mac Jones and that offense. I think that they played well against the the Eagles. You know, that's one of the best teams in the league, arguably the best team in the league. So they hung in there. It was tough, though. When you have the lack of talent that they do, it's tough, even with a really well-coached team like Bill Belichick's team. But, yeah, not a whole lot to say, I think, here for New England. They played about what I expected, kind of competed in that one. Defense played well. Mac Jones played decent, but just not a whole lot of weapons. And, yeah, I think that New England still has some work to do. All right, and then 21 here, jumping up 2 spots. We're going to have the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, good win against Tennessee. So yeah, I mean that's really all I'm gonna say there. Derek Carr played decent. The defense for the Saints played decent, but what's gonna happen when they're gonna go up against not a really good O-line? You know, it's definitely a question needed to be asked, and what's gonna happen when they go up against not Ryan Tannehill? So that is still some things to look for there for the Saints, but good win for them in week 1, and you'll take it if you're the New Orleans Saints. I still hold my opinion on them, and they're going to go up against the Panthers this week, which is another probably going to be a win with how the Panthers offense looks, but it's going to be an interesting game. All right, and then 20, jumping up 4 spots here on top of the NFC South. We're going to have the Atlanta Falcons. I liked what I saw from the Falcons offense in this game. They really game manager type. Ran the football with Bijan Robinson. There's a reason why he picked him so high. He's such an amazing talent. And the Falcons came out there. They ran the football. They played well. And that's really what you got to say, I think, for Atlanta. They play like a good football team. And, yeah, you like to see it, I think, if you're a Falcons fan. But still, some concerns there, though, I think, with the defense. The defense has been getting better, though, this year. They played pretty good, but then again, it was against the Saints. The Panthers, which was a struggling offense. But I would like to see Desmond Ridder get a little bit more shots going on to Kyle Pitts and Drake London, but this team clearly had a game manager approach, and it worked. That just really shows the good, well-coached football team that this Falcons team is. And they came out with the right game plan. They got the job done, and that's going to really raise their floor for a lot of years to come. It's going to be a decent Falcons team. All right, moving on to number 19, dropping down 1 spot. We're going to have the Minnesota Vikings. And weird performance from the Vikings. It's week 1, so I don't want to get too nervous here. The offense obviously had some weird things with the Kirk Cousins interception and fumble. It was just a weird game there from the Vikings offense. I honestly did like what I saw from this defense for Minnesota. I think they played pretty well. And Brian Flores is a new system. I do think that the Vikings probably should have won that football game. They were the better team, but they came up with the loss. It is what it is. I'm not going to overreact to that. I think that the Vikings are going to be just fine. And they're going to still be in the sun. My opinions really don't change on them. All right, and then 18, dropping down 2 spots, we have the Giants. Just an embarrassing loss. Got blown out. I understand it's a very good Cowboys team, but my oh my, scoring that little points is just frankly embarrassing. I'm just going to put it, not going to put it lightly there. I mean, the Giants, they just had to play better than that. Daniel Jones struggled. The defense, not what I was hoping for from that defense. but I still have immense faith in Brian Daboll. I think he's a very, very good coach. I think they're going to be just fine. They're going to bounce back, but I still think that there's some concerns there for sure for New York, especially on that defense, man. They got torched. The offense didn't look good at all. Just a horrible week. They just got to move on from that. Forget about this week and start with a new week 1 next week because, man, that was just very bad for them to start of the season. All right, and then 17, another poor performance here. We're going to have the Steelers. I'm going to keep them above the Giants here, man. I just don't know. I didn't like what I saw from Kenny Pickett. It was a struggling week 1 game for him. I still think that Kenny Pickett can be a good quarterback, but it was just not a good performance. The entire offense looked just off. The O-line, I mean, obviously it's a very good Niners D-line, and but there's no excuses there. I was expecting a little bit more progression from this O-line this season, and we didn't really see that. I still trust this defense is going to be better as the year goes on. There's just so much talent, and with Mike Tomlin's group, I think they'll be fine on that side of the ball. It is week 1, so yeah, just not a whole lot of overreacting there, but the Steelers got to be better than that. Just similar to the Giants, they got to just forget about this week and move on to next week, where they're going to have to face a tough Browns team. That's going to be tough for Pittsburgh. All right, number 16, jumping up 4 spots here. You love to see it. We're going to have the Green Bay Packers, and I believe this team's in the playoff tier in the NFC. They're going to come up above the Giants here. Man, I'm really happy from what I saw from Jordan Love and the Packers offense. Jordan Love looked comfortable, and that's about what you can expect from week 1. And yeah, I liked what I saw. Of course, Matt LaFleur played well for him. They played well with running back Aaron Jones. Their O-line looked pretty good. But really, the defense, man, this pass rush really gets me excited for this Packers team. You know, Joe Barry finally making some adjustments, and this pass rush with all the talent that they got, unbelievable performance against a bad Bears O-line. Now, obviously, it's a bad Bears O-line, so you got to go up against a real NFL O-line, but not to give too much discredit to that Bears O-line, but still. So I think that the Packers very good team, and then the secondary played well. So I liked what I saw from Green Bay. They really just dominated the Bears. The Packers still owned the Chicago. What is new in the league? Nothing there. So the Packers get the win. Good win for Packers fans. All right, moving on to 15, dropping down 5 spots. We have the New York Jets. Just very frustrating, I think, for New York. Aaron Rodgers going down with an injury. It's just tough, man. That's obviously the reason why this team is dropping. But yeah, besides that, I'm not worried about the Jets, though. On defense, I think. I meant to say that, but defensively, man, the Jets, just what a performance. 4 turnovers in this game from Josh Allen, and this defense was just relentless all game long against this Bills offense. They played phenomenal. Sauce Gardner played a good game. Diggs played a good game. And the Jets, man, you love to see it, honestly, from that defense. That pass rush was pretty good as well. It's just one of the best defenses in the league, and that's going to keep them in games every week. Now, obviously, Zach Wilson's coming in. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to scheme up for Zach because it's going to be a different offense. But I'm intrigued to see how Zach Wilson's learned from Aaron Rodgers because, Aaron Rodgers says he's made some improvements. So I think Zach Wilson is not done yet. I think he could still be a decent quarterback. But next week's going to really have to show that. And this offense got a lot of weapons as well. It's just really the quarterback position. It's just unfortunate Aaron Rodgers went down with an injury. But the Jets going to have to fall 5 spots there just because of that. But still a crazy win from that punt return for a touchdown for the New York Jets. And it's just unfortunate that Aaron Rodgers is going to be out for the season. So bittersweet feeling, I think, for a lot of Jets fans. Mainly bitter, but, you got the win on Monday Night Football. So there is that, I guess. All right, and then a team dropping down 5 spots, man. I am very frustrated as a Seattle Seahawks fan. Coming into this game, I was pretty confident that we get the win, even without Jamal Adams and Devin Witherspoon. but just horrible pass rush. Sorry, just horrible pass rush. Draymond Jones was basically non-existent. The defensive lineman that we paid good money for in free agency, I'm very frustrated in that. I'm frustrated because these young players like Boye Mafe and Derek Hall, they need to step up. Nwosu gets injured in the middle of that third quarter or fourth quarter, whatever it was, and it's just very, very, very frustrating, man. I was very frustrated watching this football game. And then Trey Brown and Mike Jackson played horrible covering these Rams receivers. We need Devin Witherspoon back because I believe Devin Witherspoon is the X factor, 5th overall pick for this defense that we need. And it's just so frustrating, man, on that side of the football that we needed to be better than that, and we were just straight up bad. And there's nothing else to say there. The offense, Geno Smith, it's not his fault in that game. The O-line, Abe Lucas and Charles Cross go down in the middle of that third quarter. 3 total yards of offense, though. The run game was non-existent. It was just bad play calling. It was just bad everything. The receivers, I was expecting more from Jackson and Jigba and this trio because it's on paper one of the best trios in the league. I mean, it's got to be better than that. As a Seahawks fan venting right now, it's frustrating. This team's in the playoff tier, by the way, my bad. But yeah, I'm not gonna drop this team too far. I think that there's still a lot of talent there, and they need to get healthy. They need to bounce back. They got a tough game against Detroit next week, so I'm gonna still trust Seattle. I'm gonna put them at 14. I'm gonna trust Pete Carroll to make some adjustments, but just unbelievable, man. Poor performance from Seattle. All right, then dropping down a spot here, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Really, the Chargers, it's just a tough loss. Brandon Staley, I don't think is him, honestly. I think they need to move on because this defense, what does he bring to this team? This defense looked horrible. It was Justin Herbert carrying this offense. This offense looked good, but, man, Brandon Staley, got to figure out this defense. And then 12, the Denver Broncos. I'm going to stick by the Broncos here, dropping down 1 here. I think that the Broncos are going to be just fine, honestly. Russell Wilson, I think I saw some good things from him. I saw what I needed to know from Russell Wilson in this game. Like I said, the Broncos were a barely missed field goal and an extra point away from winning this one. This defense, the secondary is unbelievable. The D-line, a little bit of a concern there, but I still think it could be better. And Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, we knew they were going to have some of their hiccups as we started out this season, and I think it happened. But, I think they'll be right back at it. They had a chance to go down the field and take the lead on that final drive, just couldn't get it done. It's a little bit frustrating, but I think they can move on from that and still be a very good football team. All right, number 11 here. Jumping up 3 spots as we're done with that big in the hunt here. We're going to move on here to the Detroit Lions, who got a huge win against the Kansas City Chiefs. You'll love to see it if you're Lions fans. I'm happy for Lions fans here because it's been a long time coming for them. This defense played well. Now, obviously, it's a different Chiefs team when they don't have Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. So Jared Goff looked pretty well in this game. This team played competitive, just a classic Lions scrap it out game there, and they got the win. You love to see it if you're a Lions fan. They're going to come up 3. I'm not going to raise them up too high because I still have some concerns with that defense, but good win for Detroit for sure. All right, then jumping up 5 spots, we're going to have the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's had the Bengals numbers a lot of times. You love to see it. This defense, unbelievable. One of the best in the leagues. Just dominated. The weather helped them out as well. There is that to be said for that crazy weather game. And then Deshaun Watson, a little bit frustrating, honestly. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say there, though, because it was such a bad weather game. But I'm going to give it another week from Watson. But, man, this defense, just unbelievable. You love to see it if you're a Browns fan. And Nick Chubb played well in this game as well, the O-line. It's really just Deshaun Watson for the X factor for this team to maybe break loose as a contender, but I'm going to put them at 10 here. Number 9, we're going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to be jumping up 4 spots, and this is really just because of a lot of craziness going on around with the Jets, the Seahawks, the Broncos dropping. I don't think they deserve to be above the Jaguars anymore. So that's really all it is. The Calvin Ridley hype was totally justified after this game. He played phenomenal. I loved what I saw there, and I just really liked what I saw from Trevor Lawrence as well. The defense, little bit of concerning. They let Anthony Richardson run around, but it's really going to be next week for them to really have their test against the Chiefs. All right, and then the Ravens are going to be staying at the same spot here at number 8. Just not a whole lot to say. Lamar Jackson played pretty well. The Texans, I just expected this. The Ravens defense dominated the Texans. J.K. Dobbins goes down. That's unfortunate, but the Ravens took care of business again. It's just against the Bengals. This is their next test for both of these teams. So these two teams going to be really just, my opinions really don't change on these two. All right, so now we're into the contender here. And that's going to start out with number 7, the Buffalo Bills, dropping down 2 spots. Very frustrating performance from this Bills team. Josh Allen, not great. Not great performance, man. He threw a lot of picks. He needed to be better, and I'm just frustrated from that. From the Buffalo Bills. The defense for the Bills, not great. They played decent, but when it's not against Zach Wilson, what's going to happen for the Bills? I mean, it's a legitimate concern to be said there. And some worries for this Bills team. I'm not going to drop him out of the contender tier because I still think Josh Allen is such a good playmaker that he should have his better weeks in the future, but it was just a frustrating performance for the Buffalo Bills for sure, and just a game that they definitely should not have lost there with Aaron Rodgers going down. All right, and then jumping up, we're going to have the Miami Dolphins. This offense, man, explosive. Tua to Tyreek Hill connection. And, of course, Jalen Waddle. My goodness, this offense is really hard to stop, and they torched the Chargers in that game. And then the defense, it was against Justin Herbert, so you're going to have some tough plays there. They gave up a lot of points, but I'm not too concerned with that. With the offense playing as well as it did for Mike McDaniel's unit, I'm not concerned by it. Really good week for the Chargers and a really good win. All right, number 5, dropping down 3 spots. We're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals here. And, I picked this team to win the Super Bowl for a reason. I'm going to stick with the Bengals as a contender. It was a poor weather game. The Browns have historically played very well against the Bengals. It was in Cleveland. Joe Burrow just could not really get a grip on that football. It was just a very bad game and a very mismatched type game for this Bengals team. So they got a tough game against the Ravens next week. They got to bounce back, but I'm not concerned with the Bengals here. I think that they'll be just fine here. Dropping down 3 spots. I think Joe Burrow is going to have a bounce back week. And like I said, I think the Bengals should be fine. They're going to be dropping down 3 spots, though, because of some of these other performances. All right, number 4, jumping up 2 spots here, we got the 49ers. Unbelievable performance from the Niners. Brock Purdy looked insane. This defense was dominant. You love to see it if you're a Niners fan. My goodness. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit because it is just week 1. We're going to have to see some more from that offense. Unbelievable game for Brandon Ayuk as well. So you love to see that from the Niners. Really good win for them, and they're going to jump up 2 spots. All right, and then the Chiefs here, going to be at number 3, 0-1. I'm not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs, man. It was really Patrick Mahomes trying to do everything, and it just wasn't enough against a good Lions team. They needed Travis Kelce in that game, but he goes down. It is what it is. I'm not worried about Kansas City. Chris Jones, they signed him, so I think the Chiefs should be fine for the upcoming weeks. All right, and then number 2, dominant performance from the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be jumping up 2 spots here. You love to see the Cowboys' performance, man. Dak Prescott played well. This defense was just unbelievably dominant. This team, unbelievable for performance. It cannot be overstated. I love what I saw from the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be back next week, man. They're rolling right now. And then number 1, staying at the same spot, we're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles here. I liked what I saw from Philadelphia. It was a hangover-type week that they got over from that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played decent, and the Eagles, still the number one team in the league, in my opinion. The defense, the best in the league, in my opinion. My opinions doesn't change on them. They're number one. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this.